Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I will be talking about a disease known as diabetes. This disease is when the body cannot utilize all the sugar that is in our body. So to say, it is when there is higher sugars or more than the sugar that the body can utilize. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but anyways, there is excess sugar in our body. So to say, there are two types of diabetes, type 1 and type 2. Literally, let me start by telling you what exactly it means or how this diabetes comes about. There is an organ known as pancreas in our body which produces islets of Langerhans. Islets of Langerhans produce hormones known as beta cells. These beta cells produce insulin which helps control the sugars in our blood. Well, there are two types of diabetes. Type 1 is when these beta cells are not produced by the pancreas, so there is no way that insulin will be produced to combat the sugars in our blood. Type 2 is when beta cells are produced by the pancreas, but unfortunately they are insufficient. They are not enough to produce enough insulin to combat the sugars in our blood, or the sugar is too excess for the insulin to combat it, to control or regulate. Well, type 1 diabetes usually starts from childhood to adulthood, and type 2 usually starts from age 30 and above. For type 1, literally, for type 1 and type 2, the symptoms are similar. One would be experiencing thirst, so much thirst, like frequent thirst. No matter how much water you drink or how much drinks you take, you still feel thirsty. And again, one feels the urge to go for a short call every now and then, like frequently short calls. Well, I know you're wondering how that can be determined from a child and all that. Well, you leave that to the specialist and all that, but so to say, from a mother who has diabetes, when the babies are born, then they can be tested immediately, or there are some presenting symptoms whereby they help figure out this disease. Anyways, let's not get into too much science and medical stuff. I want to be as clear as possible for everyone to absorb this knowledge, so we'll not get into that. Anyways, like I said, the symptoms are common symptoms are thirst and like frequent urination, and but these are not the only symptoms, and these symptoms usually when one has them, like, it does not specifically mean that one has diabetes, because there are other diseases with similar symptoms. So it is usually good for someone to get tested and get confirmed about the disease by the specialist. Anyways, there are different there are other types, there are other symptoms which are depends on the level or of sugars in our body. For instance, some people might feel dizzy, or they might experience blurry visions and all that, and some might even collapse and require some might collapse and only be diagnosed at the hospital when they are attended to. Anyways, there are different tests to confirm this disease, which I will also leave it to the specialist. Most importantly is for you to know how this disease or these types are managed. For type 1, you'll find that because there are no beta cells, insulin is not produced in the body, one will have to be injected with insulin throughout their life. in order to combat or to control the sugars in our blood. For type 2, there are various ways of controlling the sugars in the blood. For instance, using medication, tablets, one might be kept on a certain type of medication that could help regulate. Also, one could help the body to combat or control the sugars by doing some form of exercises. Another could be intermittent fasting, and the other one is minding the diet. For diet, I understand that it is very cumbersome because literally patients do not know which food exactly to take and which not to. Unfortunately, some patients, because they understand that diabetes means having excess sugar in the body, so they take bitter beverages in order to neutralize the sugars in the body. It doesn't happen as such because, like I've explained earlier, diabetes has to do with these hormones, that produce insulin. If these hormones are lacking in the body, there is no way that bitter beverage will help bring them back. Okay, and if they are not functioning, that bitter beverage will not help the other hormones function. So literally there is no correlation between taking bitter stuff and high sugars in our blood. So that being said, it is very hard for one to know which food stuff to take and which food stuff not to take, because there are some food that taste sweet, and some food do not taste sweet. But unfortunately, some food that do not taste sweet are even worse because they still have sugar. It does not necessarily mean that if food or it does not necessarily mean that when something tastes sweet, then it eventually has an impact on our disease or prognosis of the disease and all that. At the same time, it should not mean that when something does not taste sweet has no bad impact on our body. So to say, I will address this topic about which type of meals to take and which type of meals not to take, which food are better for us if we are suffering from diabetes, and which food are not good for us, in my next video. So kindly tune in, then I will address this clearly so that you can understand exactly what to do, what to eat and what not to eat. Until here, thank you so much. Kindly tune in for my next video when I will be talking about the type of food one should take and the type of food one should not take. I will also produce another video to talk about the complications of diabetes, especially when one does not adhere to medication or one does not do enough to help themselves. Thank you so much. Until next time. Bye-bye.